everybody. My name is Mr. Everything, and today I'll be interviewing the COO of Atlas Reality, Manning Field, and asking him some community questions. Thank you for coming on today.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Everything, and thank you for giving. Thank you first for being a loyal player, as well as giving up some of your Sunday to do this with me.
And you as well, I appreciate it. So, first things first, what's the next big thing for Atlas Earth?
Well, so the next big thing is a feature, and we were just together as a team in New Orleans last week at an offsite to work together. And we're just to give you guys a little bit more background there. We are a virtual company, and so we don't have an office. Most of our team is in Austin, Texas, but we've got people as far as Brazil and kind of overseas as well. And so we get together every 4 to 6 months as a team just to bond, to work on some things together. And one of the things we're working on, which is the next big thing, is really this feature that we call uh, challenges and premium rewards. And it's a feature that appeals both to the free to play player as well as those who want to add an additional subscription alongside Atlas Explorer Club, and allows you to earn more AB, which is one of the things that is super interesting to most of our players because they turn those AB into virtual rents, and that's the core kind of game loop. And so, what this allows players to do is to experience more of the game, to compete on a monthly basis in challenges, to earn extra AB, and in some cases, some extra prizes. And there's a just like the login streak. There's going to be a free to play track as well as there's going to be a premium track that we call premium rewards. And so it'll be very clear and exciting and motivating, and give players the opportunity to earn more Atlas Buck and convert that into to virtual rent. And we're really excited to deliver it. And we were, as a team, kind of basically connecting the front end and back end experiences, and we're in QA now, or quality assurance now, and I would expect to see this sometime between Halloween and Thanksgiving. And if we can do it sooner, we'll do it sooner.
So, for someone wanting to get the most out of this new feature, they'll have to log in daily and complete these challenges, right?
Well, you'll have to be active. I'm not sure you'll have to log in daily. Some people kind of are more sporadic in the way in which they engage with the app. But we have another feature that tries to motivate that, which is the login streaks. But it's going to reward people who are the most active in the game and try to encourage those who are either new to the game or who haven't fully utilized all the aspects of the game to take advantage of that. And so we're excited to introduce that and give players the opportunity to learn more about how to get the most out of the game experience.
So, besides challenges, are there any other features in the works for free to play players to earn additional Atlas Bucks?
Listen, we're always looking for ways, if you look at what we've done with surveys and arcade this year, we're always looking for ways and travel as well. We've kind of upgraded our travel value for by 40% in what you earn if you book travel and hotels through kind of Atlas Travel. So we're always looking for ways. We've added over 47,000 merchant locations and amps for the US based players so they can earn extra rewards. So those are going to continue to be things that we look to expand upon. And the ways in which we think about future development is not, this is a feature for free to play or this is a feature for pay to play. It's like this is an engaging feature in the game that's going to have some value for free to play players. And typically, if you're going to pay to play, that you can just accelerate your ability to get more land or accelerate your ability to earn more AB because you are pay to play. So there's more of a spectrum as opposed to this is either this segment or that segment.
Do you think we'd ever be able to use virtual rent to purchase Explorers Club with a new challenge subscription directly from inside the app?
Uh, Ever? I mean, I try never to say never, or I mean, there's a few nevers, like getting rid of the feed. That's a never, but I would say down the road we will. But I just the one thing that I think that we need to keep in mind is it's a recurring subscription. So when that recurring subscription breaks, so for example, if you don't have enough virtual rent, you had it 1 month, but you didn't have it the next month, like that is an operationally and technically very challenging thing. And most importantly, it's disruptive to the player because if that payment fails, you stop earning Explorer Club. We kick you out right away. So that can be very disruptive to a streak if you're pretty far down a streak. And so we just were really careful about how much of that we really want to take on down the road. If there's a bunch of players that have $50 on a consistent basis that can be used there, we would do that because it's a better player experience. It's a little bit cheaper for us to manage. But right now, the number of players that actually could even do that and the number of players that could do that consistently over 6 to 12 months is so small that it's just not worth the effort.
But couldn't it always be set up as a one-time payment instead of a
Yeah, but
recurring
that
subscription? Good.
it just gets. Yes, you could. It's very complicated, and honestly, the juice isn't worth the squeeze for quite some time. So, and that's how we have to think about developing all of our features. Is it worth the effort? Is it going to benefit the most number of players? Right now, this benefits a very small number of players. And so it's just, we'd rather spend our engineering energy and product development energy against features that appeal to many more players than this would appeal to.
Of course. Outside of the Atlas Bug Pack purchases and Explorers Club, what's the next best sweet spot for revenue
For the company or for the player?
for the company?
I mean, typically those are aligned, by the way, but arcade is a very, very successful program for us. That's why we've recently introduced the boost. Because of we actually through with our partner go back to the game publishers and the activity that we get in the boost versus when we don't have the boost, and the willingness of that game publisher to play increases dramatically, and the predictability of we do this now every 2 weeks gives us a lot more leverage with these game publishers about what we can deliver back to the players for rewarding them through playing games downloaded through arcades. So, that has proven to be very successful for us. And when I look at actually how many millions of AB we've given out to players as a result of arcade, that I think for a vast majority of our players who play it, it's a very, very attractive experience.
So would you say that's even better off than AMP?
I mean, it's more widely used. I mean, number one, it's international. Right now we operate in 12 countries after we launched in Germany, and 25% of all of our new player growth and our daily activity is actually coming from international markets, and so AMP does not work there. And it's not that we're holding it back and just keeping it in the U.S. It's just that one is very complicated because we have dependencies on Visa and MasterCard to expand to other geographies, and so our ability to actually even do anything in whether it be Canada or Australia or the UK or any of the new markets we've just entered, we are dependent upon Visa and MasterCard actually being present in those markets using their loyalty capabilities, which is how we make AMP work. And right now, they're not. And so we couldn't go make it happen ourselves. We need them because that's how we give you those instantaneous rewards when you've experienced a positive AMP experience. And so we need Visa, MasterCard to and so we're dependent upon them. So our pace is really, unfortunately, it's kind of like a team. You're as fast as your slowest member, and right now Visa, MasterCard are the slowest members.
So because of the delays involved with Visa and MasterCard, would you ever consider creating an Atlas card? An Atlas
Yes,
credit or debit?
yes, we would, but that doesn't necessarily solve the international problem. Those are kind of independent things. Yes, I come from a long career in helping develop credit cards. I've created cards like Chase Sapphire in prior lives and many other cards that people have in their wallets. So that is very much in the longer term vision of where we want to go, even though that is not right around the corner. But it does not solve the international problem because, again, every single one of those kinds of deals are done on a market by market basis. The United Mileage Plus Visa card is a U.S. issued card that works, though it works when you spend internationally. If you're a UK customer, you're going to get decisioned on that credit card based on your U.S. credit worthiness, and unless it's issued by a Barclays or UK bank, done separately with United, like it just doesn't work. And I know I just got super into the weeds there, but it's not as simple as you guys think when you cross borders.
So domestically, would you ever consider bringing on, or if possible, bringing on another big merchant into AMP for US players, like a huge fast food chain, gas station, or grocery store, especially with the recent departure of Burger King and Jimmy John's?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we are actively always looking to get the most kind of ubiquitous companies, like especially grocery, fast food, gas. Those are the ones that are the most obvious for us, in convenience stores. And I would expect some movement there. later this year, or early next year. Um, so we've got some things underway there, but I can't really kind of reveal them now. But I would expect AMP to continue to get um, more relevant to all of our players in the U.S. And as soon as we are, and it's not necessarily like there's Visa Mastercard delays. It's not like we said it was going to be this and it's delayed. It's Visa Mastercard like has their own businesses that they run and their own roadmaps, and as soon as they're ready, we're going to be the first one there. But we are not driving that timeline. It is them.
So, does player base size have anything to do with the differences of U.S. and international player experience with minigames and general rent boost tables?
Well, so the player base size and rent boost tables don't have anything to do with each other. The the rent boost tables are very much driven by the local advertising rates that get paid for, because the way that we think about the advertising part of our experience is it funds rent and earning a virtual rent. And it funds the payback on the free AB when you use whether it's two AB or one AB, depending on which market you're in. That is essentially a break even proposition for Atlas. We give all of the value that the advertisers pay to us to the player. That's how we think about that. And so we adjust and modify the rent boost tables based on the local advertising rates of that given market. And that's why when you look in our FAQs and you look at the kind of, you tap the question mark about like boosts, you see now we have, I think we have 5 tables. We might have more in the future. We're trying to keep things operationally simple, but we've also got to continue for the sustainability of the game, we've got to make sure that the math works. And so that's why we have different boost tables. Now, with respect to audience size and markets, with each market, audience size does determine the length of the mini game and the size of the starting pot. So there's a bigger starting pot and there's longer mini games in the US because we just have significantly more players playing those mini games. But as we stand up the new markets, those players start to get excited and engaged in the game, and they see kind of the value that mini games provide to earn extra AB, we will see as you reach certain kind of like thresholds around activity in a given mini game. We had some this morning overseas, and the U.S. we're having that this afternoon for bowling. As those kind of average players in any given market expand, we'll increase the pot size, which makes it more competitive, and it just becomes a kind of a very virtuous cycle. So the size on mini games absolutely does drive that.
So, is that sort of metric also what ended up changing the minigame duration and pot for the U.S. back around a year or so ago? Because there was a lot of variation going on in the beginning.
Yeah, that was just us honestly like experimenting to try to determine what's like the right payout, because we found if you keep it too long, actually player engagement really drops, and you have to stay engaged in order if you want to stay at the top of the leaderboard. And so, like, we didn't want to torture the players to get their winnings, but there's just a tension there, and we tried to experiment, and that's what you saw with different durations, different times of day. Um, and what we've arrived at is, for the evenings during the week here in the US, we do it for 2 hours, and we do it 1 hour for our new kind of foreign markets. That will sometime evolve once they reach a certain scale to 2 hours. And then on the weekends, when people have a little bit more free time on a Sunday, then it's 3 hours. And so that's just kind of where we've landed based on all of the testing and experimentation we did last year.
So, one user raises concerns about the high rate of ROI based on users investing into the game. What plan does Atlas have to continue to grow the company and help pay out the customer over time?
So the question is really about, about sustainability is really the question.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
right?
some people look at how much the top players are making, and they wonder how that can be sustainable over long term.
Well, they have no idea how much the top players have put into the game. That would be my first answer, and nor will we tell. But I would say that the foundation of the company starts from math, responsibility, and people who don't work in the gaming industry who have come through different other models that have like established practices about how to manage liabilities and how to manage programs like this. So I personally come from financial services. I ran a $4 billion rewards program called Chase Ultimate Rewards that had a $4 billion liability. Forecasting of when you give out points versus when people redeem them, and I mean it is very mathematical, and there's a generally accepted way in which those kind of things are properly reserved for. And so, the sustainability of the game, we have zero concerns about that. The way in which we manage the economics of the game, it really is, number one, if every single player that had virtual rent today that with balances greater than $5, because that's when you're able to redeem. But if every single player today redeemed their virtual rent that had a balance over $5, they would get their money, and we'd be open for business in a very happy place the next day. So the kind of the notion of a run on the bank, or are we going to pay out stealth? Are we going to pay out kind of bigger players like you as the governor of Georgia? Like that we have a high degree of confidence for. We reserve every single uh, purchase that's made in the game is properly reserved for, and this is why we do things like the boost tables, to make sure that you drag the corner of the Excel sheet out 30, 40 years, that like, is this still going to work? And the answer is absolutely still works.
And I know a part of that, as you had said at a different time, is that the way the game works is encourages players to put back in instead of taking out. So would you say that's also a large portion of why you're able to do so well?
The recycling aspect, and it's 55% of all Atlas bucks get recycled versus redeemed. But I'm sorry, 55% of virtual rent gets recycled versus redeemed back into Atlas bucks. Um, but that was not part. That was actually not an assumption in our model. It's beneficial to us for sure, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee. If 100% of virtual rent got redeemed to cash, like, we wouldn't have any problem at all. The good news is like, people like the game and people see the value, and whether it's the 33 virtual rent sale or the 40 AB at the end of the year virtual rent sale, like, people see that value, and they like what those Atlas bucks are going to do for them, whether it be buying more badges or buying more parcels and becoming, getting more titles. Those things are very motivating to our players, and those are kind of honestly unintended benefits of the economy that we've created.
So, as far as the titles go that you were just mentioning, what defines like a mayor title? Now, I know the default is city slash state for governor slash country for president, but I think we've seen a lot of variation in different parts of the country for what defines the smallest tier of badge.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to. I mean, our goal when we built the game and did the first kind of generation of the map was to make sure that we had coverage against our most populated places in the country. But when we did that, we found that there were many gaps. I'm sure if you've been playing this game for a while, you can see that there was a place where I couldn't buy a badge, not because I already owned it, but because it didn't exist, and that basically meant that the map did not recognize that as a place. Um, that at the lowest level of the hierarchy, which is kind of that city county area, that there was no part of the hierarchy there. It just rolled up to the state and then to the country. And so we did a fairly significant reworking of the map over the course, and at the same time rebuilding kind of our back end that would not only allow us to fully cover the US, but also put us in a place that we could scale to all these international markets that we've done since last March, or since this past March. And so, that principle was really, let's make sure that we get the US fully covered. There's not a place when I go to buy a piece of land or potentially buy a badge that I couldn't either compete for a mayorship or that I couldn't get a badge. And so that's what we launched, in the middle of March this past year. And the way in which the lines are drawn, it is not a perfect science. We're starting with some open source mapping. We go in and do some augmentation based on potentially other data sources. This is less of an issue in the US, but more so in when we go to overseas markets. And in some markets, we're using up to 6 different map kind of views to make sure that we can draw the lines in a way that is most relevant and most coherent to someone in that local market. Now, I'm sure, and I hear this, that there are certain areas where it may not totally make sense, or it may not be the way that the locals think about that area, and we try to take that in. But we can't rework the map on a regular basis because it's like reshuffling titles, and it creates a ton of chaos. And so, think about us like refreshing maps probably every 2 years, but the way in which we've drawn the maps is essentially the best available data that we had out there. And while on any given market you might quibble with where those lines are, we've done the best that we can.
Will we ever be able to see like boundaries for this sort of different badge? So let's say you think you're close to the border between a county and a city, and you want to just ensure you're in the county or the city.
Yes, we are working on something right now. Specifically, it's for the web, but we're thinking about how might it also apply to the mobile experience. There's just a tension there and like clutter on the screen and so forth. So, and I'm not going to speak definitively to when it would show up in the mobile app just because it's not yet fully planned, but it is actively being worked on the web. And so we are, so the kind of bearing the lead here, but we are bringing the map to the web soon. So it'll allow you to see leaderboards, allow you to see kind of your own land, not necessarily just driven by the GPS. You won't be able to purchase, but you can see and you can view and you can discover. Um, and we're excited to show that with our players. And through that experience, you should be able to also see boundaries.
Looking forward to that. So, switching gears a little bit, some of the early tabs when the app first came out still haven't quite been developed into full-fledged features yet. So, when do you think landmarks and auctions will make their debut?
Coming soon. I'm just kidding. I know it's because that's a joke because it's been in there since we launched. But I would say that those will be in the experience next year. And I know we've probably said that every year, but I can speak confidently that it's being actively worked on. We talked about it in New Orleans this week. I'm not going to say any more details, but it's coming, and we're super excited to deliver it to the community. And I think people are going to. I think whatever hype has been kind of people have, or whatever hopes and dreams people have about those features, I'm pretty sure we're going to surpass them.
So, along with additional um, features, will we ever have more customization in the game, whether it comes with icons on the screen, more ways to dress up our astronaut? I know recently we just got legendary parcel upgrades, which give you a way to stylize your land.
Yeah, I think the idea of customization and what they call in game. You see, it's in the inventory tab in the app now. It's called consumables. You'll see some stuff coming there soon. Um, to the degree to the amount of customization, I think it's going to be more about the game player experience as far as the gameplay and the land experience, and probably less around, hey, I want to move the feed over here. I want to put icons over here. We're probably not going to do that because it's just too complicated to manage across all the different device types, screen sizes, and things like that. So probably more customization in the gameplay and the experience as opposed to how the app is configured.
Are there any plans to do more with diamonds?
No.
Short and sweet.
No, people have lots of projections on what they want diamonds to be. And listen, we have two currencies. We have Atlas Bucks and we have virtual rent. We're not going to have some like dynamic conversion rate thing between a third currency. It's just like, again, we're math people. We're trying to be responsible. We're balancing economies. A third currency is just a variable that's not worth it. Diamonds are fun. They're supposed to get you out, explore your city, see who's the mayor, look at that, buy your badges, you know, see who's got cool legendary upgrades. Go get your diamonds, but and then enjoy the wheel spins. I mean, you'll see some stuff probably, be more exciting on the wheel spin soon. But diamonds themselves being another form of currency, yeah, that's not going to.
So back when Rent got or Cashout got added a few months after the app came out, two tabs, crypto and stocks, have been added, but never fully fleshed out yet. Do we think we'll ever see crypto and stocks added as cash out options direct?
For sure. I am, I come from financial services. I'm a Series 7, Series 24, Series 66, kind of investment advisor and financial professional. I've run a brokerage before. So, there's lots of reasons why I'm here, but that's one of them. So, yes, we're going to build that out someday.
So you've said before that minigames are not core experience for Atlas Earth. Could you elaborate, reveal any examples of what sort of experience you believe are core?
I mean, this in the core game loop is quite simple, right? I earn Atlas bucks, which we think of as an incredibly attractive currency, and our players, I think, have confirmed that. And you earn that through a variety of ways. You can either buy them, or you can play things, or you can do things, or you can play mini games and try to build up your Atlas bucks. I mean, people like you have earned a lot of Atlas bucks through the years playing mini games. But the core game loop is not the mini game itself. It's like the mini game unlocks the ability to actually get back to the core game loop, which is to use Atlas bucks and earn Atlas bucks to get virtual rent. And virtual rent, um, is the expression of ownership, which is like endemic to kind of like the core value of the game. And that notion of earn Atlas bucks converted into virtual rent that's the core game loop. And so that's not a mini game. A mini game is like an engagement vehicle to get you to earn more Atlas bucks, to keep you back to the app, to come check out all the other cool stuff that we're working on. And it's great. It's a great way to build community as well around that. I mean, if you look at like what we see in Reddit and what we see in Discord more specifically, is the players who play those mini games like communicate with each other, and they, like you'll see in Discord chats of like players GGing each other, and it's like it's very cool to see, and it's very kind of for us, as the game designer and the developer, like we're very excited to see that. But the core experience is still going to always be about earn Atlas bucks and then convert it into virtual rent, which I can then turn into real world cash.
Do you think minigame reward distribution will ever see a rework in regards to more local pots like state?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, ever or never change? Like, of course, it's probably going to change at some point in time. It'll change when it makes sense. But right now, we're not actively working on any change there. I mean, we're very data driven about how we look at this stuff. And so if the data says there's a better answer for everybody, now, again, like this gets very complicated very fast in certain states. Certain people in certain states have certain opinions and certain people have others because, reworking the minigame payout system and the rankings is a redistribution of wealth. And so you just have to be really careful about how you do that and who, because that means in order for somebody to get more, someone has to get less. So, we would just be very careful and very mathematical about that and really focus on both the integrity of the game and the fairness to all the players, not just a couple.
So I think lastly for today, we have more of a request than anything. Would it ever be possible for the Atlas Earth soundtrack to be uploaded to YouTube? Or
Oh,
maybe
you
even
mean the game
Spotify
sound,
with the song?
the game soundtrack? Well,
Yeah.
yes, I was actually talking to Sami about as we launched our our something new music video and song like this past week is what you're going to see is actually we're going to probably we just have to get the licensing sorted out on the game music, but also with the song, we want the community to respond to that, to remix it, to do stuff with it, and so yes, I would say that that's going to happen. Exactly around the game music, I got to get a handle on the rights and how we the distribution is actually not the hard part. It's just like with anything with music and content is about rights. We just want to make sure we do it the right way.
I see what you did there. Well, I believe that's all the questions we have for today. I just wanted to thank you again for coming out and answering all the questions.
Oh, well, listen, thanks for having me, and I appreciate again all of the. It's a real joy for us back at the company to listen to the community, to hear what they have to say, both the good and the bad. Trust me, we read it all, um, and and I share as much of it back with kind of the rest of the leadership team, whether it be product or marketing people or the developers themselves, to help make the game experience better. We have a grand vision where this is going, and over time we'll continue to reveal that. We try to be humble about what it is we do, but very grateful for this community. We're very grateful the way that we've been embraced in now 12 countries, and we're excited to continue to build. And we would just hope that the lines of communication between us and the community, continue to exist and strengthen. And we're just really appreciative of all of the support.
And so, not just acting as the COO, Manning also works as a moderator both in the Discord, Reddit, and other social communities. So, if you have any other additional questions for him, you can join the official Discord. I will leave a link in the description and ask him. And I will also leave a link to the Reddit as well. But you can also leave a comment if you have any other specific questions. But other than that, I think that's all for today.
Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing everything.
Thank you.